Hey, my name is David, and welcome to the video. This is a very special video for me because I started the carnivore diet again, and today's day 7. But the thing is the last time I did any videos about the carnivore diet, I didn't even start doing videos until I hit day 90. Now I'm on day 7, and it's the second video since I started. First one being day 1. You can check that out if you like. But today being day 7, I have a bit more of a closer perspective of remembering what happened in the first 7 days than I did last time when I did try to recall what happened during the first 7 days. So if you're interested in carnivore diet, this video might be interesting to you if you're thinking about it, or maybe you're on the journey right now and you want to see if you're having similar things going on in your first 7 days. We can talk about it in the comments, and if there's things you're experiencing that I don't cover in this video, I'd be happy to talk about things, because I did actually get pretty far. I got like 200 plus days of just straight carnivore, so I have learned a lot about the carnivore diet, and I experienced it a lot. I just kind of went off the bandwagon for a bit, and now I'm back. And before we get going into the actual content of the video, I just do want to say thank you to everybody who engaged in the last video of me starting day 1 and coming back to making videos again. It's really encouraging, and that is one thing that's going to set this aside or different than what it was last time, is because last time I was doing it alone, I didn't really have a community. Now it feels like when I come on to talk about the carnivore diet, I got so many people that are so supportive. And so I just want to say thank you. And I appreciate all the comments and stuff. So I made a few notes of things I kind of wanted to talk about so I could be pretty thorough over the week. And so I'm kind of going to reference over to those notes occasionally. So if you see me look away from the camera, that's why. But I want to mention some things. I know a lot of people often talk about different things that they experienced during the first week or the first few days or months or whatever. Um, some of those things kind of pass me by. I don't know if it's because I just drink a lot of coffee, so I always have mental clarity and focus, and maybe being in ketosis doesn't really affect me in that way as much. But it didn't really do much to me. I did have some times where I got I guess, tired easier. I don't know if that was because I was staying up late or if that was because I didn't get enough sleep or what, but it could just be that I was drained of all the carbohydrates. I didn't have the energy that I would normally have. So I'm gonna say that drained energy at times was probably because of the carbohydrates, but it didn't last long. It was just maybe day 3. Like I said, mental clarity, I don't even really know what that means. I'm always pretty focused. I'm a very logical thinker. I think in a lot of strategic, high level type ways. So I don't really know what people talk about being in a fog. There are times where I don't feel like working, and maybe that's the fog that people talk about. And I don't think I really ever hit moments like that, except for the periods of time where I was just like falling asleep. And again, that was like 1 or 2 days, kind of hit or miss on like some days, but maybe for like an hour at a time. Hunger and cravings, actually, this time was a little bit easier for me because actually, ever since I kind of went off the carnivore diet, I still had carnivore meals. There was meals I had no carbs in it, but I would still have carbs at some point throughout the day. So I really still kind of held true to the carnivore diet for like half the day on most days. But here's the thing. Last time when I was going through the carnivore diet, I still had like I get done with my meal, and I would still feel this desire to go eat carbohydrates and get some dessert or something sweet or something crunchy or something like that. And I was just fighting through it. This time I don't feel those urges as much, but even when I did, like any type of urge to eat something that wasn't meat or eggs, uh, I already knew there are some things I can eat that will help that. Something like pork rinds. I don't know if it's a big, widely suggested thing, but I think pork rinds are freaking awesome because it's just like eating chips, except for I used to only get just plain pork rinds. This time I got uh, um, oil, no, was it salt and vinegar? I got barbecue, I got salt and pepper, regular, just whatever you can find. I'm not such a strict carnivore to the point where I'm like making sure that everything was cooked and organic. And I don't play like that. I mean, I literally drink coffee, which is not carnivore, and it's argument. People argue and debate over if you're a true carnivore or not a true carnivore. And maybe that kind of stuff led to my demise in the carnivore diet back when I fell off the bandwagon. But I really don't think that was it. I believe that the reason I fell off was because my mind shifted. I went into some sort of different mental state and just kind of gave in, and habits started coming back, and I just needed a reset. So I think it's something that us addicts may struggle with. And I think that there's a lot of conversations around addiction to where if you're addicted to a drug and you're going to go so strict, sometimes people are is it's like it's okay to smoke cigarettes, even though cigarettes are not okay. It's not healthy for you at all. But if you're having to decide between doing a really strong, dangerous drug and smoking cigarettes, and you have to choose, then cigarettes might be the better alternative. And in my case, I feel like having some things that I still have in my diet that's not pure, like 100% carnivore diet, I don't think that it's that bad. And I'm willing to live with the consequences of maybe having some vinegar on my pork rinds. If that's not you, don't feel stressed about it. If you don't want to have that, you want perfectly pure carnivore diet, that's awesome for you. And if you think that that's going to make you stumble, then again, yeah, don't do that. But for me, I think it helps keep things not so rigid and so strict that I can still feel like I'm living a life, because this is a very restrictive diet. And if you feel that it's just impossible to stick to, having these little niceties mixed in with things, it just really goes a long way. When you're used to eating steak, ground beef and eggs and very little bit of cheese or anything, and you just put salt on things for your seasoning, that can start to get, it's very tasty. I'll tell you what, I've found some ways to just make the fat on a steak just like the best tasting thing in the world. But occasionally you just want to mix things up a bit. So I give myself that liberty. How about sleep? Better or worse? Um, I'd say it's kind of hard to tell still. It's fairly early. Today is day 7, so I've only had 6 sleeps since. But I would say that if I had to say it had some sort of an effect, I would say that it helps me have a deeper sleep when I sleep. I've been remembering my dreams a little bit more than I normally do. Um, Outside of that, when I go to sleep, I fall asleep pretty quickly. But again, I've been working on another website, and then potentially one day a new YouTube channel where I help, or I'm writing content for churches and helping them with their marketing, what somewhere where they can go and learn things about marketing. So other than like right now tonight making this YouTube video, the other nights that I'm not doing that, I'm working still, but just on a different project. So I stay up till 1, 2 o'clock at night in the morning, and then I wake up about 6:30 in the morning. So I only sleep with about 4 or 5 hours, and I still feel energetic. Maybe on the weekend I might get that 6th hour. But I tend to, as soon as the sun's up, I got to get up. I feel like I'm wasting the day. I got to do something productive. And I don't mean productive as in like I got to get out in the yard and pull some weeds. I mean like I got to be using my mind and doing something. So when it comes to sleep, I regularly just go to sleep right away. And I don't normally wake up until right about the time my alarm's going to go off. So I don't think the carnivore diet has really helped me in that sense. I haven't heard my wife complain too much about me snoring, which she would whenever I was starting to gain weight. But I think like weight fluctuation changes my snoring habits. But I would say that sleeping itself is possible. Still early to tell, but it's possible that I may be sleeping a little bit deeper than what I normally do, or at least getting into that REM sleep a little bit longer. Mood and motivation is on my list to talk about. And I would say that mood and motivation kind of seems normal. Maybe if I had to say that mood was changed at all, it might maybe be a little bit ornery, maybe, I guess. I don't know, maybe it's maybe it's because I see other people eating sweets and I want some, and I'm like being a little bit distant or not as talkative. I don't know. I think if I had to say that my mood was always at a 7 or an 8, and maybe it's down like one notch. I don't know. I think the first time I was doing the carnivore diet, that it never really crossed my mind. I'm a pretty just chill guy to start with. I don't I don't know if it comes across in these videos, but I'm very I get a lot of people saying that I'm kind of monotone and I don't have a lot of fluctuation in my voice. I think when I listen to myself back on these videos, I feel that I hear it. I'm like, golly, I don't really move my voice around. I'm not really animated. So if you see that in this video, then you know what it's like for me in real life. So my mood, I don't ever hear that I seem like I'm in a bad mood, and I never really feel like I'm in that bad of a mood either. So I don't think the carnivore diet's changed that in me, but I hear that it does in some people. So be on the lookout. Okay, let's talk about some benefits. I would say probably one of the biggest benefits of being on this diet and eating the way I'm eating is that the guilt of eating bad goes away. And really that goes for any diet you're on. I think if you're plant-based and you're eating vegan and then you eat vegan, I think that based off of how your diet is, if you're following the rules of how you're supposed to eat, that guilt and that feeling of I'm eating bad, unhealthy or whatever, it goes away. Well, for me, I know how good the carnivore diet is, and I've seen the benefits. I've heard all kinds of benefits. I listened to and watched so much content from all the different doctors and other influencers that have shared their life stories. And so I feel very confident that the carnivore diet is perfectly healthy and optimal, actually. So when I get done with a meal, I never have that feeling of guilt after I just got done eating too much ice cream or too many pieces of cake or cookie or ice cream. I really like ice cream or pizza or something like that. I mean, I could tell myself I'm just going to have one cookie and or maybe okay, maybe just three. One's unreasonable. Three is a good limit, but then my three turns into 10. So it I don't have the scenarios where I end up binging like that. I can binge on meat and eggs and things that fall into the category of carnivore and stuff myself full, but then afterwards not feel like I did anything wrong. So that is probably one of the best benefits to my psychological state that I think anybody going onto a diet and just agreeing to themselves, this is what I'm going to do, and then sticking to it, it's a great feeling to have. Um, and which makes you feel more positive, which helps you stay and stick to the diet even more. I know what most people are probably here for, and that is probably wanting to hear how my weight has changed over the week. Well, last time I started this diet, I started out with my weight at 232. Now I've had a peak of like 270 something pounds, and I got down and I fluctuated through different diets. And then I started this diet back up at 232 last year when I first started. I was at 232, and uh, the 1 week later, I was at 226.6. All right. But this year, I started at 230.8. Okay. I didn't get as high. I stopped myself before I got those extra 2 pounds. But anyways, I got down to this morning. I weighed no, the other morning I weighed in. I didn't weigh in this morning. Other morning I weighed in. It was at 227.4. So not quite as much weight. I'm about a pound and a half off. But today's day 7, and I could have maybe dropped another pound or so in that time. But that is about 2.5, 3 pounds from the week. So it's interesting. Like I gained back the 20 or 30 pounds over the span of 6 months. And when I go on the diet for a week, I expect that all the weight will come off all at one time. Please tell me why it doesn't. I know it's not supposed to. Logically, I understand that, but I feel like if I've been on the diet for a week, like all my clothes are supposed to start falling off, and I'm just supposed to start having a 6 pack like right away. But it feels like I look in the mirror and nothing's really changed, and that's because 3 pounds across my whole body is really spread out. So I know it's going to take time. Actually, last time I did this diet, it wasn't until about 3 months in before I really started to notice and like be surprised of like the differences that were happening in my body when I looked in the mirror. So give yourself time. 1 week is not enough to see the differences, but you might feel the differences. And my clothes, I haven't really felt too much of a difference, but I will say my jewelry, like my wedding ring, I can feel that light like loosening up a bit. So that's and it's not that's just not that's not in my head. It's real. I promise. It's not a placebo. So it probably has a lot more to do with swelling from all the liquid, all the fluids that were in my body from the carbohydrates, and then when the carbohydrates were released and all the fluids were released, it probably helped reduce some swelling, and that's probably where that looseness of the ring is being noticed. All right. Now, when you go on this diet, if you're not already there and you're about to start it, or if you're about a weekend just like I am, you probably notice that there are some negative side effects. And I experienced negative side effects just as much as the next person. And I think last time when I did this, if I'm remembering appropriately, I experienced some negative side effects then too during the first week or two. For me this time, um, I did have a little bit of headache occasionally. I think it had to do with a little bit of dehydration because of all the fluids that were leaving my body. And the simple fix for that is just using some sea salt. Even my brother, he started the diet a ways back, and his experience was is he was said he was feeling like his heart was beating like super fast and was about to beat out of his chest. And he got some sea salt, he put it on some food that he was eating, and in like no time, he felt normal again. So he attributed it to sea salt. My headaches and potential dehydration was remedied really fast with sea salt. You just put some salt on whatever you're about to eat and just salt it to taste. Too much salt is not really a thing. If it tastes good, I can direct you to a salt video that I did before, and as long as it tastes good, you're pretty good. But the part that was the hard part to get through is needing to find a bathroom fairly quickly. You're either going to experience one, the other, or both. And in my experience this time, I mainly experienced one, and that was having to go number two quite often and violently. I think Joe Rogan explains it like a volcano. So be ready to have to clean up after whatever mess you leave in the bathroom. But it is something different than diarrhea. It can get pretty bad. And my understanding, I don't. It's not. I would don't call me a doctor or anything. But my understanding is that it's oxalates, and I don't know what oxalates are, but apparently they're bad things. And when you get on this diet, your body starts cleansing itself and it flushes it all out. But I don't know what they are or what they do and why it's a positive thing that oxalates are leaving your body. I've heard them talked about, and I don't recall much of it other than your body's flushing out oxalates, and that's a good thing. It's also releasing all of the fluids, all of the water that's being retained in your body because of the carbohydrates. Um, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I really am not claiming to be perfectly knowledgeable about why these things happen. Just know that the best response to these things is be close to a toilet. Don't trust a fart, and make sure there's plenty of toilet paper around. Moral of the story, if you're thinking about starting the carnivore diet or you're on the first day or so, I encourage you to, and I encourage you to keep on with it. Just know that it can be a little bit rough in the beginning. And I'll be checking in with more periodic updates, probably weekly or so for the near coming future. So if you're interested in seeing more content like this, please subscribe. And to follow through on just comparing what week one was like for me now and week one was like for me then, I'm going to put that video right over here and go check that out so you can kind of see what's the differences. I don't even remember what I said in that last video, so it'll be beneficial for you. So take care, and I'll see you soon.